The Ukrainian Security Service Counterintelligence opposes hybrid Russian aggression. More than 80 enemy agents and spies exposed last year. Welcome to the EPIA channel. This is the place where we aggregate European security news and try to keep it entertaining. The Ukrainian Security Service Counterintelligence Agency is taking comprehensive measures to prevent and to neutralize the threats of Russia's hybrid aggression against Ukraine. Over the past year, there was more than 130 criminal proceedings. These proceedings were classified as treason, espionage, and terrorism. More than 60 criminals have been sentenced to various terms of imprisonment. In the course of investigative and operational actions, the Ukrainian security services neutralized a number of hostile intelligence networks. On the instructions of their curators, the criminals carried out reconnaissance and sabotage activities against the state security of Ukraine. The powers of 17 foreign diplomats for violating the norms of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations have been prematurely terminated. In particular, the early recall of 16 diplomats was initiated. More than 50 members of terrorist groups and illegal armed groups have been exposed. According to the investigation, they were a part of enemy units that took an active part in shelling the positions of Ukrainian troops in the east of Ukraine. More than 20 agents of the Russian special services were detained while preparing and attempting to commit sabotage to destabilize the domestic political situation in Ukraine. According to the Ukrainian Counterintelligence, an agent of the FSB of the Russian Federation who was trying to obtain information about the latest military development, the Neptune missile system, was sentenced to 8 years in prison. The Russian FSB agent who was collecting data on the latest Ukrainian developments of missile systems came into force. The court found the perpetrator guilty of treason. The Ukrainian SBU counterintelligence officers detained the agent while he was trying to hand over the secret technical documentation of the modern missile system. In the region of Donetsk, the court punished an enemy agent exposed at a gathering of intelligence about units of the armed forces of Ukraine. He was also preparing for a terrorist attack at a military facility in Mariupol. During the detention, an improvised explosive device was seized from the attacker, which he took out of a specially equipped shelter. During a large-scale special operation, the SBU neutralized the FSB intelligence network. Enemy agents were preparing to carry out sabotage. Among the objects of encroachment are fighter jets at one of the airfields. During the searches, almost 3 kilograms of TNT with detonators as well as anti-tank rocket-propelled grenades were seized from the attackers. That operation led to the discovery of a large-scale Russian intelligence network working within Ukraine. It included former military intelligence special forces. The SBU established that citizens of Ukraine were recruited and performing intelligence tasks on behalf of the FSB personnel. In particular, Russian agents were preparing sabotage operations. They were instructed to create conditions for sabotage, to facilitate the penetration of sabotage and reconnaissance groups from the temporarily occupied territories, and to organize special training for selected individuals. And moving on, in the Luhansk region, a Russian spy military intelligence officer was detained. A foreign agent arrived in the region to gather intelligence on joint forces operations. His curators were interested in information about the locations of Ukrainian troops as well as information about the latest models of domestic weapons. It was established that this citizen of a foreign state, temporarily residing in one of the regions of Ukraine on behalf of the special services of the aggressor country, periodically went to the area of environmental protection to collect intelligence. The Russian curators were interested in information about the latest models of weapons and military equipment involved in the environmental protection, the location, the number of personnel of the armed forces, and so on. The spy was detained during the transfer of military information to a representative of the special services of the Russian Federation by electronic means of communication. Currently, the suspect has been detained. He was informed about the suspicion about the participation in the activities of a terrorist organization. And moving on, counterintelligence officers of the security services of the Ukraine also exposed and detained another agent of the FSB of the Russian Federation who was collecting secret information. Detectives and investigators of the Special Service established that the employee of one of the strategic enterprises of Nikolaev was recruited by the FSB and received the task to collect information on the modern military equipment of the armed forces of Ukraine. Counterintelligence agents documented that in order to gain access to the technical documentation of the latest developments, namely closed programs for the use of unmanned aerial vehicles, the attacker tried to recruit one of the heads of the scientific institution. SBU officers detained an agent of the Russian Secret Service during a controlled transfer of secret data. He was set up. Currently, the exposed FSB agent has been informed about the suspicion for treason. and measures to stop illegal activities were carried out under the procedural guidance of the Luhansk Regional Prosecutor's Office. And finally, for this video, another agent of the FSB, no surprise of the Russian Federation, was detained. The attacker was gathering intelligence also about military units stationed in the region. Among his tasks was to obtain information on the management of defensive facilities. In addition, according to Ukrainian counterintelligence, more than 360 access to state secrets have been revoked. This prevented the threat of leakage of classified information, including defense. As part of the counterintelligence measures, more than 400 foreigners involved in the subversive activities against Ukraine's state security have been identified. They are forbidden to enter the territory of Ukraine. During this period, 19 organized groups engaged in illegal legalization of people from countries with an increased terrorist threat were neutralized. According to all the revealed facts of illegal activity, the SBU counterintelligence is conducting systematic work to identify and to prosecute other persons involved in crimes against the state security of Ukraine. So that's all I have for you today. As you can see, it's a very serious situation, a lot of subversive activities happening around these days. So guys, if you'd like to stay updated with security news in Europe, be sure to follow me on Twitter. Also, we have an Instagram account if you'd be so kind to check that out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did like it, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Hope to see you again. Take care and thanks a lot.